Welcome to the Human Resources Liaison Operations Guide series. I will cover the basic forms. Please refer to the entire Liaison series to fully understand how to complete forms for specific actions. The Department of Health and Hospitals requires a standard form or combination of forms to check the validity of a request to change an employee's job title, position location, salary, or employment status, commonly called a request for personnel action. Once the presentation is completed, you will understand how to fill out human resources forms for various personnel actions, what information is needed, where to find it, and what steps are required before the entry is completed. You will have the option to pause or go back to a portion of the video at any time to fully complete each document. The table of contents is provided as a quick reference during future viewings. Within your role as a Human Resources Liaison, you will hear several abbreviations. This list defines each abbreviation used throughout the video. The entire set of HR forms can be found on the DHH SharePoint site by typing DHH Net in the internet browser. Next, click on Human Resources under Employee Resources. Locate HR Forms under Libraries. Click on the HR form needed, the HR1 Request for Personnel Action form, for example. Once the form is open, perform a File Save As function in order to save the document to your personal computer. Do not type in the form before saving it to your computer, as information you type may overwrite the blank file in our database. Please check back often, as our forms are updated periodically. The Department of Health and Hospitals Request for Personnel Action form is the first document to review. The form is commonly called an HR1. The form is like a Swiss Army knife for HR actions, built to tackle just about anything. First, make sure you have the most recent form. I magnified the top right corner to locate the revised date. As in the case for all HR forms, to cover how to fill out the form, let's divide it into 3 sections. First, the identification for the employee and the action to be performed. Enter the effective date to the top left and end date if the move has a set end date. A detail, WAE, and job appointment will have a set end date. Enter the employee's legal name on the next line. The personnel number section will be left blank for new hires, but all other actions complete the personnel number section. The personnel number can be found by looking up the Employee and Time Manager's Workplace, or PTMW, using the SAP user menu. The Office Facility section is determined by the section the position is located. For example, DHH OPH, DHH MVA. Please consult with your supervisor to find your specific area. The section Unit is also position specific, and your supervisor can inform you of the required title or standard abbreviations. The employee status and time status can be found on the position form for the position which is to be filled. The position form is the ZP115 when using SAP to search for the report. EE subgroup will equal employee status, and the employee group section of the position form will complete the time status section. In our example, the employee is a classified employee working full-time. Please consult with your department for time administrator name, time administrator code, and work schedule. In the case that you are not clear how to fill out the form, contact your HR analyst. Now it's time to pick out the action to be performed. The Word document version of the HR1 has a clickable drop-down list. Clicking in the yellow highlighted section will give a list of possible actions. The second list of possible options are found under the Actions Continue drop-down list. Suspension and transfer out, for example. Also select Other if you did not see the desired action. The explanation box should be used to explain the other selection. Is it time to grant permanent status for an employee? Choose Other. The explanation box can also be used to fully describe the action selected from the drop-down list. Let's say an employee transfers out. The explanation box would serve as a location to type in the agency the employee would transfer to. We have two choices when it comes to the position information of the HR1. Will the action requested require a current employee to move to a new position, or is it the appointment of a new employee to a position? The use of the from present position side and to position to be filled side is required for a current employee. The from and to side will give a clear map to show the current employee's position information and the position that he or she will fill when the entry is made. If you can't find the info for the from side, leave it blank and fill out the most important side, which is the to side. The ZP115 is the multi-purpose report that will aid in the completion of this section. The ZP115 will not have the employee's current and future salary. The salary will be pulled from the COE issued for the action by HR or the salary calculation performed for the designated move, for example, a career progression group reallocation. Salary calculations are explained in Appendix A and Appendix B of the HR 11, which is the Human Resources Liaison checklist. A new employee will only require the position to be filled side. This is simply because an employee new to your section does not have a present position to move on from. Our next question covers funding swaps and if they're required. Please consult with your budget section to answer this question. Our last set of questions, first, references. References are completed for employees new to state government, but can also be used if an employee may move from one office or section to another if the gaining section chooses to. A successful or higher PES rating is required for performance adjustments, promotions, permanent status, or details. But also, with a detail to a higher position, it will not be granted unless improved in advance by the Director of Civil Service if the employee did not attain a successful or higher PES rating. Check with your HR analyst if a drug test is required. Our signature section. Leave the first signature box blank. The HR analyst completing the entry will sign. The second signature is for the appointing authority or designee for your section. The third and final signature will be completed by your budget section. The budget signature must be completed prior to giving the document to the HR analyst. This may require the document to be sent to your HR manager or sent to the budget section prior to turning in the HR1. A budget signature is critical. The analyst will not enter the action without correct budget signature. The DHH Justification for Temporary Appointments, or HR3. This form can be found in the same DHH Forms section as the HR1. Make sure that you have the most recent update of the form. The HR3 must be completed when HR1 is completed for a WAE, job appointment, or detail. Fill out the ID section at the top, the same as it appears on the HR1. Select the type of appointment, which will be the WAE, job appointment, or detail, and select the appropriate reason for the appointment. The appointing authority or hiring manager will be the best resource for the appropriate reason. Our last question asks, does the employee meet civil service minimum qualifications? And this only applies to details. Your HR analyst can assist you with the qualification decision. In the case if it's decided that an employee does not qualify, Explain the reason an unqualified employee is placed into the job. Sign or obtain the appropriate signatures and turn in. The Civil Service Rule 6.5G request form is used to request a higher than standard salary for an appointment. The 6.5G represents the location of the pay policy in Civil Service Rules, Chapter 6, Section 5G. The 6.5G should be used for applicants or employees who have qualifications and credentials that are significantly higher than the minimum qualifications of the position. Consult with a compensation HR analyst for guidelines and requirements. On the DHH intranet, the 6.5G has an instructional video. To access the video, type DHHnet in Internet Browser, select Human Resources to the left, then Training. The video is titled Proper Completion of a 6.5G Request Training. The Waiver of Pay Reduction upon Voluntary Demotion request form is used for permanent employees who wish to fill a vacant position at a lower pay grade. The movement can be obtained by way of application or position move. The employee's information and current pay can be obtained by viewing the employee notification form. Search for ZMD sheet in the SAP search box to view the employee notification form. Type the two words ZMD sheet with no spaces, enter the employee's personnel number and the personnel area code. Current and future position information can be found on the ZP115. As the section completing the request, fill out the form until the type of demotion question is answered. The type of demotion question should be answered by your appointing authority. Turn in to your HR manager or HR analyst depending on organizational structure. The HR manager will answer the criteria questions. The voluntary demotion letter, or HR 67, shall be filled out by a HR analyst and signed by the employee. The letter will list the employee's current position, pay level, and the new position and pay level. The second paragraph explains the pay restrictions that are attached to a voluntary demotion if a pay reduction is not applied by way of waiver. The employee understands that if he or she accepts a promotion or detail within 6 months after demoting and receiving a waiver, the promotion detail pay shall be calculated from the salary amount that would have been received had the employee taken a 7% reduction in pay upon demotion. The resignation and exit form, or SF-14, is designed for resignations, retirement, or transfers to another state department or agency. In case of state employment transfer, request that the gaining agency is listed in the remarks section. This is vital to avoid overpayments and other critical payroll issues. The employee will fill in their name, department, position title, resignation effective date, personnel number, and the date the form was completed. Appointing authority signature is the last item required prior to forwarding the SF-14 to HR. A letter of resignation created by the employee may be the only thing the employee chooses to complete, if anything at all. The entry can be made to remove an employee if he or she chooses to not fill out the SF-14. Notify your HR analyst when you know an employee will resign, but you do not have all the completed documents. It is vital to notify HR of a resignation or transfer if the payroll cycle is about to close. Overpayment issues can arise if HR is not notified. The next item was created for your aid, just like our series of videos. The Human Resources Liaison Checklist, or HR 11, contains the items needed for HR actions. The actions include probational appointments, reallocations, details, and many others. The 7-page document is quite helpful and should serve as a quick reminder for HR requests. The HR 11 is also available on the DHH HR Forum site, just like every document covered in our video series. The Personnel Data Form, form number HR 9, is used for current employees if an address change is required, name change, emergency contact change, or change in marital status. Fill in your name as it appears on your Social Security card. The entire form should be filled out no matter what change is required. A copy of the new Social Security card is required for a name change with no exception. Please refer to the entire Liaison series to fully understand how to complete forms for specific actions. During the presentation, I referred to the ZMD sheet or employee notification form. The form gives a view of an employee's profile, including pay, position history, address, contract type, etc. Use the following steps if you are not familiar how to locate the report. First, type in ZMD sheet into the ISIS search menu and press enter. Number 2, type in the personnel number of the employee and the employee's personnel area. The report can be run at this point by pressing execute. The report will show the last 3 action, job, position, and pay history entries. We do have the option to see a full history of entries by checking the box next to the comprehensive history of each type of entry. Lastly, we also covered the position form. The form gives a detailed view of a position profile, including title, parish, call center, etc. Use the following steps if you are not familiar how to locate the report. First, type in ZP115 into the ISIS search menu and press enter. 2, type in the position number and personnel area. The report can be run at this point by pressing execute. We do have the option for a full history of relationship entries by checking the box next to include relationship history.
The Department of Health and Hospitals HR staff hopes the presentation was helpful. Forward any feedback to your agency's HR analyst.